very important, this one, because I realized some of the company, they are just established because they want to earn the e-invoice software money during the hot season now. Every month, only one consolidate. But you also didn't comply. Okay, can fine you up to 20,000 per piece. The 5 brilliant questions that you need to ask during the demo with the service provider.
What are the 5 brilliant questions?
Then let's see in the conference.
Hello listeners, today we are at FA Advisory. So they're actually a financial advisory licensed by the Bank Negara and also the Securities Commission for financial advisory and also financial planning. And you can see we are here, and then the tagline is navigating your financial future. And joining us, we have a master trainer, Annie Wong. And today we're going to talk about something very, very important for businesses and also for a lot of freelancers and businesses in Malaysia, which is e-invoicing. That will impact all the businesses in Malaysia. So,
Correct.
Annie, welcome.
Hi Bob. Hi everyone.
All right, so I'll let Annie introduce herself. So she's a HRDF accredited trainer and many other things as well. So Annie, welcome, and can you give us a short introduction?
Of course. So my name is Annie. I'm a mother of 2, and then I'm actually an international certified professional trainer. I'm also a certified financial planner by profession. So what I do mainly is to train people on account, finance for non-finance, income tax, and also currently e-invoice. So this e-invoice basically impact everyone in Malaysia. Because that is why for the past 6 months, I have trained more than 6,000 people in e-invoice with many first phase company, whether it is in-house or whether it is public class. So I train many people on e-invoice for the past 6 months. Yeah.
Okay, for those who are new,
Yes.
and for those who don't know yet, what is e-invoicing?
Okay, good question. So for e-invoice, basically is something that to record down the income and the expenses of a company. So I put it in a layman term first. Like for example, right now, if let's say a B2B, business to business, we want to buy something, we need to get an invoice from the company to record down this is our expenses. So sometimes in tepi jalan or in some small business or micro businesses, they actually do handwritten receipt right now. But in future, because of the digitalization in this government and in this country, actually it's industry standard. Everyone is doing that in the whole world. So right now, LHDN also came out this e-invoice to make this invoice or receipt turn into the digitalized version, not PDF. One of my uncle actually said, "Oh, why you so outdated one? 5 years ago, I already using PDF ma." No. This e-invoice is basically once you created the invoice, it will directly link and send to LHDN, and LHDN need to validate. Validate what? Validate the buyer and the supplier info. Like for example, the company registration number or the IC of the person, and also the TIN number. Yeah. So after validate, then LHDN directly know near real time how much you make this year, how much you make today. Yeah, exactly know at real time, near real time.
Yeah, so I think I like your point where it is not PDF, because I also used to do that. I already use software. A lot of us, like I'm a digital company, so I already use software online, you know, like QuickBooks, Xero, whatever it is.
Correct.
So it is taking the next step, which is you are sort of real time, right? Reporting your invoices to LHDN.
Correct.
So like, how is it different? Like if I'm using software, now I have to key in, right? Every time I have an invoice, I have to key into whatever it is in implementation, the government.
Yep. So basically, there are 2 channels for us to key in the invoice. Now let's, I give you a very simple illustration. Now, whatever accounting software that you are currently using, whether it is your local one or it is an ERP system, now you try to log in. Is there a place for you to fill up the TIN number, or is there a place for you to fill up the business code? There's none. But according to the recent e-invoice guideline, there are 55 data need to be keyed in. So one of the data is TIN and another one is the business code, MSIC code. So if let's say the accounting software that you are currently using, I'm also using Zero Accounting, by the way. So this kind of accounting, they have no way to fill up all the 55 data, which means your accounting software cannot issue e-invoice. So we must upgrade our software into another software which can issue the invoice, which is comply with the LHDN format, which is the 55 data. So that is where the first is API. You need to upgrade your current accounting software to a e-invoice software that you can actually link your current software with LHDN. It's like a middleware like that. So we call this API, Application Programming Interface. It's like a bridge. Another one is like, no lah, I'm just freelancer. I just auntie selling nasi lemak tepi jalan. I'm just doing some burger. I'm a freelance accountant. I'm a kakak doing cleaning. Yeah, so all this actually, we no need to use any API because the cost is higher. So what we do is we go to the My Invoice portal that is initiated by LHDN. It is a platform, it's really provided to every taxpayer in Malaysia for free. As long as you register a TIN number, then you can actually log into your MyTax. And then from the MyTax, you can log into the My Invoice portal to issue e-invoice for free. Yes.
Yeah, it is like, because this has been implemented, like I know in Thailand, right, they have machines for them to go and scan their invoices and key in.
Oh.
Right. So it's also implemented in many countries like Singapore,
Correct.
of course. So like you said just now, the burger seller.
Yeah.
So for example, how does he now do for his business? So he used to write, like you say, hand receipt, right? So how does he transition to this?
Okay, good question. So like for example, right now the current practice, the burger or the auntie, the freelancer.
Or we go to Chinese restaurant, right? They write the
correct, the handwriting
paper,
one, right? So now no more lah. No more. If let's say you want to claim under company expenses, you need to actually request e-invoice from all these store, all the seller. But if let's say you say like, oh, I just auntie, I just want to buy burger from you. I no need e-invoice lah. So anyhow, whether you need or not, all these business owners or all these auntie, uncle who sell burger, who sell pasar malam, pasar pagi, all this, right? They need to actually generate a consolidated transaction e-invoice in order to record down all the sales revenue, the gross sales revenue they created every single day. And this is something that LHDN implement, saying that, oh, you are small, micro businesses, you no need to issue every day. No need. You just consolidate 1 month, you just need to send one consolidate e-invoice to LHDN before the 7th of next month. Yeah. So it's actually quite easy, not that tedious one. Just 1 month, one time you log into My Invoice portal and you key in total how much you make for this month. That's it. What LHDN want is like this lah. But for those that businesses, of course, whenever your customer want to claim as a company expenses, you must issue e-invoice.
Yeah, but they don't used to do. So now it's a new thing for all businesses. That's why we are talking about it here today.
Yes.
Because it's a very current topic and a lot of people are looking to learn.
Yes.
And when does this kick in?
When does this kick in? Actually, it's already came out, the guideline since last year. And then the timeline is being shortened right after budget 2024. Shortened by 18 months. Yes. So now actually, currently we are the first phase who are having the sales revenue more than 100 million. The first phase have to start implementing August. 1st of August this year. And then the second phase is those who are 25 million to 100 million, the medium businesses. Then they start next year, January. And then for the final phase, which is next year, July. So next year, July, everyone, regardless whether you are auntie, uncle, the threshold is 150,000, also need to do it by next year, July. Yes. So it's not excluding any particular businessman or businesswoman, but everyone, including freelancer, including the tepi jalan, auntie, uncle, including the foreigner. Yeah, some of the foreigner, they actually under contract wages, subcon, they also need to issue e-invoice starting next year, July.
Yeah, including our producer Elton also.
Correct,
Just-
correct.
So yeah, so like, are there any exemption or any penalties that they face if they don't comply to this?
Yeah, actually, talking about this, right? Exemption, no one is exempted because the recent June guidelines saying that all people in Malaysia have to do this. Yeah, previously saying that as long as you are taxpayers undertaking the commercial activities, but now they change the phrase. They change it to all people under Malaysia. So everyone have to do it except government. And then all the local authority like JPJ, like the local authority like DBKL, MPPP if let's say in Penang, MPJB if let's say is in Johor. So all these local authority, they just give us a receipt with their logo. Then it is can be used for the tax purposes. No need to issue any cell bill or any e-invoice anymore.
So everyone, right? Everyone. So,
Oh, by the way, there is another exclusion, which is the people who is not conducting business.
okay.
For example, I am just a housewife, but I have a lot of rental units and I collect rental income. I'm not doing hotel, motel, or Airbnb. I just collect rental income. So that if let's say I am renting to another company, the company paying me the fees, they are the one that need to issue self-bill.
Issue what?
Self-bill invoice.
Self-bill invoice.
Correct. Not me that issue invoice to them because I am not conducting business. Yes.
So property rental for individuals no need.
Property rentals, yes. Property rentals and then also individual rental. If let's say individual to individual, then no need e-invoice or self-bill. But if let's say you are talking from Sendirian Berhad or enterprise, they rent from a housewife. So this housewife is not conducting business, then the company, they pay every month 10,000, right? So this is considered their expenses. That's why this company need a self-bill invoice to prove the expenses so that these expenses can be tax deductible at the end of the year when they do the audit. Otherwise, this 10,000 will add back because they don't have the proof of expenses, which is what we call self-bill invoice in this case. Yep.
All right. I think if they want to know more in detail, later we'll talk about the conference as well.
Yeah,
which they
sure.
can learn more about it. So how I learned about this was last year, my accountant gave me a call. So shout out to my accountant. He actually say, Bob, this e-invoicing is coming in. What you need to do is to prepare your supplier that cannot give you e-invoicing. Make sure you slowly go to those that can give you e-invoicing.
Correct.
Right. So how do businesses prepare for this?
Yeah, this is really serious because why? Imagine you do everyday buying the stocks, buying the resources from all your suppliers, and some suppliers, they do not comply with e-invoice. So let's say now you buy a cost of material 100,000 from them, from this supplier A. But supplier A reluctant to change. Supplier A say, no, I don't want to do anything about e-invoice. Okay, fine, I don't want to buy from you anymore. Why? Because if let's say you really buy, you really pay them 100,000, yes, you get the stock. But at the end of the year, when doing the audit, right, your auditor will actually add back 100,000 because it is non-tax deductible due to there's no e-invoice from the supplier. So if let's say you have to actually source and filter which supplier has e-invoice implementing, which doesn't have it. Yeah, so if let's say that is the case, that is why we call supply chain effect. You see why the first phase, LHDN only target 100 million sales turnover and above. And in the whole Malaysia, only 4,000 companies with more than 100 million. So imagine now, all these big company, they will buy from small company. So this small company haven't start implementing. So they will start whether next year, January or July. And then now suddenly you say like, oi, if let's say I buy from you, small supplier, you better give me e-invoice in future. If not, I source for supplier B. So all the supplier, that small one, they will say, I want to do this big business. I need to issue you e-invoice. No choice. I have to also implement e-invoice in future. So this is actually supply chain effect. So basically, just now you also asked about what is the fine. The fine is actually if you cannot comply accordingly, One case, according to the guideline, one case is 200 ringgit to 20,000 penalty. So imagine I'm a char kway teow hawker. So I don't do. I lazy to do. But eventually after next year, July, everyone have to do it. So this char kway teow uncle still very stubborn. No, I don't want to do. Okay, I don't care. And then July, August, September. So by October, the LHDN auditor come. Oi, you char kway teow or uncle, but why you never implement this e-invoice? E-invoice every month also have to issue consolidate. You are char kway teow, micro businesses. So every month only one consolidate. But you also didn't comply. Okay, can fine you up to 20,000, up to 20,000 per piece. So if let's say 3 months, wow, 60,000 already. How many plates of char kway teow you need to do? So that is why it is important for everyone to know about e-invoice. The consequences is quite serious. Yep.
Yeah, there's a lot of, like you said, supply chain. Myself also, if I want to work with all these big companies, I of course have to comply.
Correct.
So there are many types of different businesses, right? There's digital, there's the char kway teow seller, like you said. So are there different e-invoicing models for this?
Basically, like what I mentioned just now, is only 2 channels. Either My Invoice Portal, which is free and initiated by LHDN. So everyone, as long as you have a TIN number, you can log in and issue the e-invoice. Right now, the My Invoice Portal testing environment already launched last 24th of June. Yeah, 24th of June already launched. You can log in already as long as you have the TIN number. You can test, you can do the trial run, and you can issue the
Where do I get
e-invoice.
this TIN number?
Your TIN number,
PIN number. TIN.
Your tax identification number.
Tax identification number.
Correct.
I can tell you how to get it. Every year, the only person that remember your birthday, the first one, is LHDN. So you go and check that email. Your tax identification number is there.
Correct. You are right. So basically, even 18 years old, starting from year 2022, January, 1st of January, all those young people, teenagers, they just turn 18 on starting from 2022 January, right? They will automatically get their tax identification number from the LHDN portal. So can actually log into My Tax, and then you can search your TIN number already. Yes. So whoever, any company or even individual, as long as you are 18 years old and above, you must have TIN number right now, according to the Income Tax Act law. Starting 2022. So even auntie, uncle, they can log in their My Invoice Portal. It's free, free. So the other one, the channel, is the API. So API is like a bridge. So right now you are using whatever accounting software that you are having, and then it link using the API to LHDN. So basically there are only 2 channels, either My Invoice Portal or API. You can issue the e-invoice or consolidated or self-bill invoice from there.
So for those with API, right, they need to check with their software supplier or their system supplier whether the API is built with the system, right?
Yeah, correct. According to the current guideline that updated, right, and also the latest updated list published on 28th of June by MDEC. So the business digitalization is actually governed by MDEC. So MDEC actually go through all the people who volunteer or they apply to sell their e-invoice software. So currently we have 104 brands. And these 104 brands, some are accounting software, like you heard before, like SAP, like SQL, AutoCount, UBS, Million, MyOp. MyOp is not in the list yet. Xero also not in the list yet. I'm using Xero. They will start in the second phase. But at this moment is 104 brands. And among these 104, there are only 4 brands is being accredited. That means approved by MDEC. Yeah, published by 28th of June. Yes. So if let's say you would like to know more, you can actually go to MDEC website, e-invoice, and then you can actually search the service provider. Of course, I will share with you more how to ask all these service provider what kind of information you need and how they function and what is the points that you really need to ask them whether the platform can do this and that or not. Do you have this feature and that feature or not? It's very important to know because why? Once you implement this e-invoice, let's say you use brand A, and then eventually you say like, oh, this brand A, I don't have this kind of feature, but you already spend money on the integration. So it's hard for you to switch to another brand B. Otherwise, you incur double cost. Yeah, that's why before you decide which brand to go, you must ask the service provider certain brilliant question. Yeah.
So you have trained so many companies already when it comes to this.
Yep.
And I imagine a lot of people have very complex like CRM system or
Correct.
ERP system. Like what do they do when it comes to this?
This is what we call complex implementation. When it comes to complex implementation, the most complex one I have ever trained is basically under one roof. One company is a manufacturing plant, so they have the logistic team. They are the one that issue the DO and sales order, sales invoice. So they actually do the stock and then after that deliver to the customer. So when they do this delivery, they need to issue the DO delivery order and also the invoice. They're using software A. Okay, let's say one software lah. Then after the client, they chop sign, confirm correct already, they move to the second phase, which is the accounting software. Their finance department use another software. Okay, this is software B. Then after that, because they are manufacturing, they have a production line. So at the production team, they have another software C. So basically, this company, one single company, they already have 3 software, and now with another software, which is E-invoice software. That is why when it comes to upgrading your existing accounting software to the E-invoice compliance software, everyone must go through this so-called interview by the service provider. Because why? They need to know what is your operation flow. Let's say this is a very complex implementation, the fee is very high for the integration. If not, you need to actually synchronize everything by manually. So that is horror. So that is why e-invoice, if let's say you want to implement it, you need to actually talk to the service provider, ask brilliant question, and also need to see the demo, whether they can do the complex implementation like this. And then do they have enough support team, I mean the technical support, to support the whole system? What if one part down? Then how about the second part, the third part? So that's why when people talking about integration, they need to go through the interview and then the quotation only will be given to you. So the cheapest and the highest I heard, it's crazy. Better don't share it here. It's more than 5 digits.
I think the key takeaway is it's too late already. You should have started with this, or you need to start today. Am I right?
Correct. It's never too late to start, but now there are still some transition period. The government actually gives transition period until next year, July, which means before July, I believe the system still got a lot of bugs, including the My Invoice portal. So now they are actually doing the testing environment to test out all the things, whether it is implementing smoothly or not. So the transition period is until next year. So right now, if let's say you really don't know how to do, you have to seek advice from the consultants. You have to actually attend training, and then you need to know and understand what kind of transaction you need to issue self-bill, what kind of transaction you need to issue consolidate. And what if the clients they are very stubborn, they don't give you their details? How are you going to issue e-invoice?
Yeah, talking about transactions, right? So what are the different transaction scenarios we need to know about?
Wow, there are many. So whether it's B2B first, maybe let me share with you a B2B very straightforward. Like right now, company A want to sell to company B. First of all, must get the company B details. For example, the company registration number, the new one, not the old one. And then also the TIN number, the email address, and then the person in charge name. So all these details we get already, we need to issue e-invoice. And then we can send the goods. So let's say if now you are the buyer, also B2B, now you are the buyer. So you buy from the supplier. Like you also buy a lot from your supplier, right? So you also need to request e-invoice from your supplier. So this is called B2B. This is very straightforward. It's called e-invoice. But let's say you are now doing retail. Retail means like you are doing F&B, you are doing selling clothes like Pardini, H&M, Uniqlo, all these clothes on the shopping mall, shoes, sports. So all these things, you need to actually create consolidated e-invoice if the client doesn't want any e-invoice. Like for example, I go to order KFC or McDonald's. So I order for my personal makan-makan lah. So this one no need e-invoice, right? But at the end of the month, KFC and McDonald's need to consolidate all the receipt and issue e-invoice, which call consolidated transaction e-invoice to LHDN before next month 7. Then another one is called self-bill. So there are initially there are 7 self-bill invoice transaction, but right now after the June guideline there are 8. Yeah, so there are 8 scenarios that you need to issue self-bill. Beside these 8, you cannot simply issue self-bill. I heard some people say mileage claim self-bill lah. I forgot to request e-invoice self-bill lah. Cannot. According to the guideline, only these 8 scenarios can do self-bill invoice. Other than these 8, cannot. You cannot simply issue self-bill. So there are mainly 3 types. E-invoice, very straightforward, A to B, B to A like that. Okay. The second one is consolidated e-invoice, which means all these people don't want e-invoice one. So I consolidate and then I do a total sales revenue report to LHDN, consolidate. The third one is self-bill. Self-bill means in these 8 categories, for example, what kind of 8 categories? Agent fee. Let's say I sell some product and then I have 20 agents. Once they help me to sell my products, they earn a referral fee or a commission. I need to pay them commission. And when I pay them, I need to issue self-bill. Yes. No need to wait them to issue me, but I need to issue self-bill. So this is one of the example among the 8 scenarios in a self-bill invoice.
So like all your staff, employee, all the commissions need to self-bill?
Oh, no. Oh, no. So for the staff, all this is not self-bill invoice because all this is under employment, payroll. Whatever is listed in the payroll system, we no need self-bill. Like for example, part-timer, like for example, your freelancer, all this no need to issue any e-invoice, self-bill invoice, no need. Because it's already under your employment income.
So as a business, right, a lot of my expenses are entertainment, for example. So I take my client, I go to the Chinese restaurant, and then the Chinese restaurant normally is the the handwritten, very nice handwritten bill. So what is different now? Like, do I need to tell the auntie, can you give me invoice or I self bill? What do I do there?
Okay, good question. A lot of people ask this question. So I'm talking during the transition period. Transition period means now, 1st of August until next year, 30th of June. So all this is considered transition period. Whenever you want to go to makan entertainment fee, you need to ask whether you have e-invoice or not. No need. You just collect back the handwritten receipt. Can during transition period, no problem. You can still use back the business as usual, the traditional way lah. No problem. But if let's say after next year, 1st of July, right after 1st of July onwards next year, 2025, everyone have to issue e-invoice. So when you bring your clients or bring your supplier to meet in a restaurant and you make a payment, if you want to claim under company expenses, you must request e-invoice from the restaurant. Otherwise, these expenses will be added back. Yes. So transition period, no need. You still can use back the handwritten receipt. No need self-bill, no need e-invoice. But next year, July onwards, you must have e-invoice. Otherwise, add back.
So the auntie have to give you the invoice?
Correct.
So like normally, like you said, they can do a cumulative one but if the B2B one, they need to do one by one for you.
Yes. So like for example, I am the nasi lemak seller, tepi jalan. So your company have a training. Okay, let's say training is 30 people. So you order 30 nasi lemak from this auntie, tepi jalan. So this auntie will need to issue you on the spot now. They need to log into their My Invoice Portal app. So still remember last time during MCO, we have My Sejahtera app. Auntie, uncle also know how to use, right? Yes. So now it's like in the future, next year, July onwards, everyone will need to download this My Invoice Portal app. So when the auntie, uncle need to issue you the nasi lemak e-invoice, they just log into the app. It's already preset all their details. They just need to key in 30 packet nasi lemak. Whether it is additional with ayam or not, different story lah. Then total how much? Then they just click. You will receive the My Invoice Portal, your My Invoice Portal because you already key in your TIN number there. So you will receive the e-invoice in your My Invoice portal. Then you can download it and claim from your company. That is going to happen in future lah.
Okay, look
July.
forward to that. And you also mentioned petrol transactions. So what happened when companies pump petrol?
Company pump petrol, that's why you see now, if let's say you go to certain retail petrol, either it is big brand, small brand, all these, they only give you the receipt, right? The small one, right? So that is called receipt.
Yep.
And in future, if you want to request e-invoice, you need to actually log into their retailer app. Retailer app means you see, let's say Shell, they have a Shell app. Petronas, they have a Settle app. Settle. So another one, Petron, they have their Petron app. So these all big company, they have their retailer app. So when you want to go to pump, let's say you arrive at the petrol station, you need to actually key in what pump and then how much, and then after that you generate the e-invoice from the retailer app. Yes. So basically, there are 3 channels for you to get e-invoice. The first one is retailer app. That means all these big company, they will have this their own app. Okay, like what I mentioned just now. The second way is through the POS system. Let's say now you go to a restaurant, a cafe, so they have this POS system, point of sales. So after they key in, then they actually can issue you e-invoice. Then the third one is basically the one that we said just now. Tepi Jalan, they don't have this e-invoice portal. I mean, they don't have the POS system. They don't have the cashier counter. They don't even have a retailer app. So they can use their My Invoice portal. So My Invoice portal can issue invoice everywhere under Malaysia. Yes. So there are 3 ways. One is from My Invoice portal. Another one is the retailer app. And another one is the POS system. The cashier counter, like the grocery, Eon, Jasco, all this.
My God, yes, I think there's a lot of changes that is going to happen.
Yes, so now you see, basically, if let's say you go for a hypermarket, you can see, imagine next time you want to go and buy grocery and you want to claim under company. You tell the cashier auntie, I want to claim company. I want e-invoice. Wow, the cashier look at you. Are you serious? What is your IC? What is your TIN number? Very tedious. Then the queue will be very long and the people queue behind you will curse you, right? That's why you see the hypermarket now, they actually switch to the self-checkout kiosk. So whatever that you buy, you want to actually check out and you want to claim under company, you just go to the self-checkout kiosk and you key in your IC, your TIN number or whatsoever. You key in yourself. You don't queue at the normal cashier counter. A lot of lifestyle changes will change. You will see it later.
I see now that TIN number is very important, the tax identification number. So everyone need to have it in the future if they want to claim a lot of things and get the e-invoice.
Yeah, not future now.
Okay, better check your email for the happy birthday email.
Yes, correct.
Okay, so you mentioned just now when it comes to implementation,
yes,
you need to check with MDEC for the software that is suitable for this e-invoice, right? So what are the 3 things they need to know before they actually buy that software?
Oh, okay. The first thing is compliance. What we need to know first before we upgrade. The first one is the compliance, whether we comply with the LHDN format. The second one is the petrol framework, which means do you want to digitalize it or not? So do you want to manually key in one by one? That means you issue e-invoice already, then you want to issue another debit credit in your accounting software. That is called the manual type, business as usual. So double work. Many people say, I don't want double work. Then you want automate. Okay, can. If let's say you want automate, then you need to know what is petrol framework. Then the third one that you need to know is basically how to choose your service provider. Very important, this one. Because I realize some of the company, they are just established because they want to earn the e-invoice software money during the hot season now. But after they come out, 2%, one company, and then after that they sell you the software, what if later the government say, oh, got new guideline. Now not only need 55 data, we need 60 data. And the person, they sell you the product, they already close shop. How? So all this, we need to know how to filter service providers. 3 things. The first one is the compliance, whether you comply with the LHDN format. Second one is the petrol framework. Do you want to do the business digitalization? The third one is the service provider. How are you going to choose service provider? Yeah.
How are you going to choose? You choose by the first two things, and then whether or not they have all the fields and whether they updated, things like that, right?
Yes, and also many other the 5 brilliant questions that you need to ask during the demo with the service provider.
What are the 5 brilliant questions?
Then let's see in the conference.
Okay. So later we'll talk about the conference and we'll talk about this in detail as well.
Correct.
So a lot of things that I learned today here, Annie. But before we go, I think in my audience there might be a lot of people who ask like, okay, there are a lot of questions or queries or also doubts, right? So, what are the challenges going forward? Of course, everything is still in the sort of like the implementation stage, but what are some of the challenges that you will see when it comes to this?
There are many challenges I found because right now there are different industry that I train. The most headache one, giving me most headache one. The first one is logistic, which the company actually involved in transportation over custom. That means they need to import or export through custom. Due to the current market practice, if you know, in the logistic company, they have a lot of market practice which is doing some shadow economy lah. That means evade tax. So if let's say they don't do that practice, they lose out their market share because everyone is doing that. So right now, the latest guideline in June, they mentioned there will be a sharing information between LHDN and also RMCD, Royal Malaysian Custom Departments. So those who are doing this logistic evasion, tax evasion, they will find very difficult to adjust their business model according to e-invoice implementation model. So the most headache part is logistic that I have trained. And I asked all these questions to LHDN. And LHDN also don't know how to reply me. So no answer. And then the second most headache one is basically construction. Similarly with the logistic, they also have a lot of these market practice. Like for example, I invoice, but the developer didn't pay, but they actually, the counter back with certain units of the construction site. Like for example, the condo. Okay lah, I give you 2 condo like that. So it's not really sync with the e-invoice because e-invoice is all about figure. Now you give me 2 units, then how am I going to offset my account? Yeah, so this is 2 very headache. The third one, manufacturing. Manufacturing is the most of the answer I already got it because why? The LHDN actually quite supportive lah. Whatever I ask, they also reply. So manufacturer one, the most headache part is 2 things. The first, there is an additional workload when they import from overseas. So let's say now you import from China, from Australia, you just get the invoice, you pass to the account department to do the AP, to process the payment. After e-invoice implementation, they need to actually issue another one self-bill invoice. So this self-bill invoice should be issued by the account department or the purchasing department. So now one time I witnessed a fight between in an in-house training. I witnessed this 2 department head. They actually quarrel and they want to fight because the accounting manager, they say, the finance manager say, this self-bill invoice should be your job lah. You purchasing ma, you deal with the supplier ma, you issue the PO ma, so you need to issue the self-bill also lah. Then after that, the purchasing department head say that, no, I just responsible for the PO. Invoice, you do lah, you are the finance ma. So they actually fight. That's why in-house training very important because the boss sit in as well, the director. So they see the whole scenario because it is different from GST implementation. GST that time only impacting finance department. But right now, e-invoice not only implementing the work, not only on the shoulder of this finance manager, but also HR because they need to do all the claim, all the employee claim. And then another one is the purchasing or the procurement manager because they need to issue self-bill invoice. And then a lot of department will interlink. So all this they need to understand. And another headache of manufacturing is what if the forwarding agent they use delay the information on the K1 form or during the custom clearance, they delay informing the company. Yeah, because according to the guideline, once the custom clearance, you need to issue self-bill invoice. So many things that the company need to sit down, have a round table with all the department head, and to come out a new set of SOP. Otherwise, there are many challenges they will face lah. Yeah.
You mentioned something just now, overseas invoice, what to do? Overseas invoice, yeah. So they self-bill or what do they do if it's an overseas one?
Whenever you buy something from overseas, if let's say it is goods products, so once it is custom clearance, you need to issue self-bill. If let's say by month end, the April guidelines say by month end.
Yep.
Then if let's say for the service that if let's say I want to hire people from Singapore, a legal advisor or financial planner from Singapore, so we actually need to also issue self-bill invoice. Whenever we pay the money to them or they give us the invoice, whichever is earlier.
Okay, so you've trained many companies and you said, wow, different departments will fight, something that will happen. So any case studies that you can mention that, okay, this company has done this and done it very well and now they are ready for this?
Okay. So basically, the one that I want to mention is the first phase company lah. So phase one, because they cannot wait any longer, so they already communicate with their ERP software provider, even though not yet approved by MDAC, but they already done the integration first. Why? Because they are actually quite compliant with e-invoice. They started to plan on February this year. And then they attended my training on March. Then after that, I see, wow, they are well equipped with all the link. The link is actually generated by the ERP system themselves. And then once send the link to the customer fill up their email address, everything, it will automatically sync back to their company. Not many ERP system can do that. I realized only few company can do this. So they no need to double work. No need to key in one more time in Excel or whatsoever. All right. So after that, they already implement, and all the department, they already have this, the round table discussion. And right after the training that I did for them, right, they already know the next step, what to prepare. Like for example, for procurement side, what they need to prepare, what is the system integration that they need to upgrade, the features that they need to ask service provider. And then for the sales team and also the HR department, they know exactly what to prepare during the implementation on August. So they are well prepared. The system already upgraded, just wait for the My Invoice portal to sync with the API. So everything is in proper planning already. Planning very important, and the director sit in. This is very important. Why? Because if let's say something went wrong, director is the one that have to pay for the fine or when have to go into the jail, locked up in the jail.
Oh.
Yes. So this company really have a well plan. They send people, the whole team of the finance, the purchasing, and the logistic, and also the import-export team. Yeah, they have a different team, quite a big company. So they come in together with the director and CFO to learn, and then immediately they implement and discuss what going to happen next. So this is very important. Planning is very important. If you don't have the plan, people say, if you fail to plan, you plan to fail lah. And this fail, the consequences is huge. 20,000 per piece. So imagine you have 20 pieces.
Yeah, so thanks for sharing that case study. So last question before we wrap up. We learned so much today. So how can businesses prepare? Can you summarize in a few steps when it comes to this, including planning, right?
Yes. So first of all, the client right now, all the customer, all the businesses, regardless whether you are micro or small or medium or large, you need to prepare. The first thing is to go for the customer. You collect the TIN number, you collect their company registration number, the new one, and also the email address, all the details. Yeah. Then all these things you need to started to key into your system. That after integration, of course, you need to upgrade your system first. Otherwise, you cannot integrate into the accounting system. And then secondly, you need to actually communicate with your supplier and also your customer. Just now it's customer. You collect their TIN and everything. And then the second phase is you need to communicate with your supplier. Hey, supplier, later when I buy from you, are you going to implement e-invoice? Otherwise, I need to source another supplier. So this is to communicate with supplier and customer. Then the third one, you have to talk to your staff. Yeah, so this is the staff briefing. So let's say you want to claim the entertainment fee. Okay, so you want to get e-invoice. How? what is e-invoice? You need to do the internal staff briefing or actually go for the in-house training, yeah, to understand more about e-invoice. And then, of course, the last part is to get the SOP done, because majority of the operation flow will change. So overall, I summarize into 3S lah. The first one is system. In order to get the system ready, you must communicate with your supplier and your customer to do the integration, and as well as your service provider, which one you choose. The second S is a staff briefing. So we need to actually communicate with the internal people, staff briefing, how to claim, how to do this entertainment fee. The third one is the SOP. So 3S. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So now it's very important. I feel that education is very important. Like you said, not only the staff, not only the finance department, not only the procurement department, but the director, the CFO need to sit in, right?
Correct,
so you have
correct.
something coming out that's very important that you need to tell them to attend. This is the conference. And we did talk about this a few times. So what is the conference, Annie?
Okay, cool. Thank you very much, Bob, to ask me about this very important question. For the upcoming date, which is 1st of August this year, 2024, 9 to 5, we are going to have this conference at Cheras North Conference Center. So you can always come here, and then we have a lot of activities, and we also have the service provider, whether it is middleware or whether it is the vendor. They are coming here to do networking, to explain further on what is e-invoice, how to operate. And I will also share with you all, together with another co-trainer, which is Jimmy Koch. So we will actually share with you about the A to Z of e-invoice. Whether how are you going to prepare your e-invoice? How are you going to tackle with all these kind of transaction scenarios? And then, especially for those people who did not do a very good tax planning, for example, adjust the profit before, how are they going to handle e-invoice in future? So this is important. So register now. 1st of August, 9 to 5, Cheras North Conference Center. I see you there. And then, of course, Bob, I'd love to see your audience as well to come here to learn from each other. We will share about case studies. We will share all the Q&A session that always asked by the audiences and also all the participants that they asked before. Yep.
So in my audience, we have a lot of professional businesses. We also have a lot of F&B businesses. So all industries can attend.
Yes, correct. Especially for those who are really wanted to know how this e-invoice can impact them. It's basically everyone.
Everyone, huh?
Everyone.
Okay.
For the MSME, that means the micro, small business, I know that the recent news came out from the Dato Sri Amir Hamzah, right?
Yes, our finance minister too.
Yes, correct. Right. So he mentioned there is a threshold of 150,000, no need to do this e-invoice. It sounds like a good news, right? But if let's say you read thoroughly, the last paragraph saying that exempted for now.
Not yet.
During the transition period, no need.
Yeah.
This one, we knew it many months ago. They only started July. So according to the statement, it's basically to calm you. It's just that you need to implement next year, July, not now. So basically everyone have to do also lah.
All right. So actually I will put the details of the conference down below in the description. So if you're watching this on YouTube or LinkedIn, you can find it as well. So last one, I'd like to thank FA Advisory for having us today. So thank you for us, and we'll put the website, all the details. If you have any financial planning or financial advisory needs, please contact them as well. So put the details. Thank you so much, Annie. I think the big takeaway today here is if you don't plan, you plan to fail. Every business is going to be impacted by this, and every single transaction as well. So thank you so much, Annie.
Thank you very much, Bob, and see you in the conference. Bye-bye.
See you. Hello, listeners. So we just learned so much from Annie just now. We learned so much about e-invoicing. So I want to see you at the e-invoicing conference on the 1st of August. So at the normal price is 1,260, but just for you, we have a special promo code. Use promo code BOBLOW, BOBLOW, and you get a 60% off for this. So see you at the conference at the 1st of August.